What is up, everyone? Welcome. Thank you for tuning in. If you're new here, my name's Nico. I go by COINTrick and COINTricktwitch online. I'm a bartender, barista, mixologist. I make stuff at home. The very first thing I need to do is I need to figure out how I'm going to get this guy up on the bar. And if you don't know what I'm pointing at, well, I guess we're going to find out. Oh, God. Old man noises. This is our stainless steel fermenter. Wow, that's interesting. But you won't lick it. The trick is to send ice flying everywhere. This might be the least alcoholic drink John Luke and I have ever made on stream that wasn't water or a latte. Cheers. Yep. Cheers. Today, what we're doing is we're transferring some of our mead into secondary fermentation. We have a funnel, and we're going to use a couple of different vessels, basically. The first one that we're going to use, you guys are probably familiar with, is a glass carboy. I've never used one of these for a secondary fermentation, and this one isn't going to be under pressure. We're still going to use this because it's glass, and that's dangerous. The reason I want to do this is mostly just so that I can see what the mead looks like. The second one that we're doing is going to be fermenting under pressure in one of these these aren't stained, I think these are aluminum, in one of these canisters that I got. When it ferments under pressure in secondary fermentation, it's a cleaner process and it's a much more controlled environment when the air is sealed and everything, and the yeast really likes that. The yeast also stays active for longer, cleaner, it doesn't create as much sediment, which is nice. What we can do is what we did with the beer, and we just do it little by little into this guy, and then we pour it through a filter into the thing. You don't remember doing that and making a huge mess? Yeah. I remember.
We can do that.
Pepperidge Farm remembers. There's going to be a small bit of yeast cake down here, and some sediment or trub on top of that. So we're going to have to pull this relatively slowly, and then we're going to run it through a filter or a strainer, colander of some kind, into the secondary vessels that we're using.
Putting that. 3, 2, 1.
Let's see what it looks like here on camera 2.
So from this, where's it going?
From that, we're gonna pour it basically one thing at a time into this guy.
Okay.
Yeah, this thing would need to go up quite a bit. It'd have to go up like 6 inches, which is a lot according to Hannah. That's what she tells me. Fragile! This is what we're gonna put the mead on. And in eventually too. These are bottles. There are glass bottles in here, which is why it says fragile. This may be the worst idea that I've ever had. I don't want to do this. Do I have a wooden box that I could use? Wait. Plan C is actually within reach, and I'm ashamed that this wasn't the first thing I thought of. Bring her down nice and gentle like. There we go. Cool. Worst case scenario, we lose a fridge. Look at that. It's like it was made for this, because it definitely wasn't made for cooling beverages, which is why we've never plugged it in. Ah! I have that effect on women.
It's totally cool. There's no like
the screaming
equipment over there.
Yeah, that's definitely not like a lot of money over there for sure.
The mead is speaking. Yes, it is. The mead is very happy.
Happy mead. Happy little mead. You know, another really fun thing we could do.
What's that?
We could do 4 secondary batches instead of 2, and we could add raisins.
Can you please explain the raisins?
They are a natural yeast nutrient that basically expedites fermentation. They do not affect the flavor of your product. It just makes it ferment a lot faster. Chewing on ice cubes are normal. Also, I will say this, these specific ice cubes that we have, the like pebble ice cubes, by the way, this is a gift from Hannah. Dad, I love you 3000. No! The glass knocked my face. There we go. These little pebble ice things are actually really pleasant to chew on. It's kind of like if you've ever eaten snow, which for reasons you shouldn't do, but if you ever have, because you're an idiot like I am, it's kind of like that. Often something people with pica do. Isn't that the thing that makes you like eat everything? Or is that just my mom? Oh, get it? It's a Latin joke because we're Hispanic. I'm gonna use 10 raisins. I was a little excited. If you're doing something like this at home, if you're doing fermentation, don't want to create all of these air bubbles, because when you introduce extra oxygen, carbon dioxide into these solutions, that's how you create carbonic acid, tartaric acid, and that can not ruin your brew, but it'll just change the way it tastes. I think I'll just do it like this if I have to.
Yeah, there we go.
How will we know that we have a gallon, though? So we're gonna have to transfer it and basically do it like one at a time, like we did with the beer.
Sewage water drink?
And this is...
I don't know, from here it does look kind of muddy, but it's like a juicy kind of muddy. It's like a pretty consistent muddiness.
So we've transferred this into secondary fermentation. Why don't we pull it down from there and we'll take the lid off. We'll show everyone what's inside there right now and how much is left. Here we go. Cool. All right, so it does kind of look like soup. So there are 3 or 4 main botanicals that we put in here. So in there, those chunks that kind of look like potatoes are not potatoes. Those are lemons. You can also see some pits, like these right here. Those little black balls are juniper berries. They're dehydrated juniper berries. They're probably super hydrated now, though. And there's also wormwood. All the grains in there that kind of look like rice. That's all of the wormwood that we added in there. Some of that might also be yeast that has floated to the top. And then there's cloves, which will be very hard to see in there. And I think that's it. Like I said, I kind of want to see how active these get with the ones that have the raisins and the ones that don't. The ones that do have raisins, I've labeled, it's probably, again, my penmanship is terrible. This down there says Mead, which is, it's a fermentation aid. It's a product that you can order that does the same thing that the raisins do, but raisins are really cheap. All the way on the left, this is our tart cherry cider, which we made with store-bought juice. All we did is we took the juice, we added sugar to it, dissolved the sugar, added yeast, added raisins, and then we let it ferment. This is apple cider, following an actual apple cider recipe, and this is kind of our control group. This is what we should know what happens with this one. This down here, that's that yeast cake that I was talking about when we were pulling the mead earlier. That's the yeast cake and the trub and sediment that settles to the bottom. Here, we have a cold brew coffee cider. Oof. I've officially reached the age where I just try and talk while I'm burping. Is it Nico from Charlotte? Technically, I live in Charlotte, but technically I was born in Berkshire, which is in the UK. I was born in Reading, England.
M wants to know best alcohol to start with for someone who just turned 21.
Typically, I think a lot of people start with flavored vodkas, like fruity, like raspberry flavored vodka or whatever. In general, this might surprise you, but I would actually recommend starting with vodka because it will be the easiest to mix into something that you probably already enjoy, whether it's a soft drink that you already frequently have, and it's not really going to necessarily be an acquired taste for that reason too. But if you're the kind of person who normally drinks like sweet tea, then you might want to drink bourbon instead. You might want to start with bourbon.